Hello, my friends, my family, esteemed colleagues. The most bombarded questions are when we consider food. Meat that is polluted, commercially raised, animals heavily vaccinated, fed the wrong food. How good can this meat be? And what about all the parasites they can have? And isn't it dangerous now to eat this kind of a meat without heavy processing, without heavy cooking? These questions I'm being asked almost daily. And even though I explain this through many of my articles and many of my videos, again I'm forced to address this issue. Just because people simply do not want to think. So we are being told, okay, well, it's better to stick to vegetables, you know, they're so nice, they're so clean, they're so pristine. Well, commercial, we are talking about commercial stuff. When you get wild game, you can be sure you can eat it, no problem. There is not going to be any disease. Wild boar will never have trichinosis. Domestic pig has to be checked for it. But aside of this, you look at vegetables commercially grown, they are heavily sprayed. They are sprayed with pesticides and the soil is sprayed with herbicide. So nothing grows there but the crop. Now all the stuff is being sucked into the plant. But nobody really thinks much of it. No, just eat those plants, no problem. Even fruits. The only benefits we used to have from fruits is minerals in the juice. Not much, but at least some. And this at least brought a flavor to the fruit. Now, fruits are flavorless. It's almost like chewing on paper. Hydroponically almost grown. No mineral added. Only artificial fertilizers. And we are being told, no, eat fruits, that's healthy. First, there's nothing in a fruit. Even when it's from a nature and has a beautiful flavor to it, smell, taste, why it at least has some minerals in a juice. Most of them are in a cell, so you cannot get there. It's all cellulose. But at least in the juice you get some. So you juice them, you make your juice at least, okay, concentrated, and you get some minerals. Now from these fruits, you get absolutely nothing. You get water. And vegetables, and what you can get is what the plant soaked in from the soil, which is now all this aluminum and all these pesticides that are being used, also sprayed, so the fruits do not get worms. So it's all basically soaked with pesticide, outside and inside. No problem, wash it, it's gonna take care of it. Yeah, you know what. So we definitely get polluted by eating vegetables and fruits. Now what goes with meat? Well, animals, they are being fed wrongly, so the immune system is wrong, so they have to be vaccinated and they have to be actually treated with antibiotics as soon as one animal gets sick, if there is a herd, if it's compact, all the other ones are being given antibiotic just as a protection. Now, if you follow my work, you know how antibiotic works. It basically closes down the cells, reinforces them with stress proteins, so they don't sieve the dirt out, but at the same time they don't soak it in. And this makes the antibiotic really irrelevant, because it basically cannot enter the cell. And then animal cleanses it out. It just closes the system for a while. So there is way less danger of antibiotic in a meat than there is a pesticide in vegetables. But our sheer ignorance and we are being misled. Again, we are listening to popular science, we are listening to the TV, we are listening to journalists who are just repeating the script they are given to read. And we are being led the wrong way, on purpose. And this is why they tell you, well, you gotta really cook the meat, because you know it can have these worms and, well, what happens when you are eating raw meat? Any kind of a meat. Your stomach produces strong hydrochloric acid. pH 2 burns metal. It liquefies and breaks down the protein in the stomach, which means it liquefies and breaks down worms and eggs of worms, of parasites. They become your food. It turns everything into amino acids, which then we absorb and we can use, because they are all animal products. But no, that's not. You eat something, there's a worm, this worm is now going to grow in your body. It's not going to happen. Yes, it will happen if you eat incorrectly. If you eat huge salad and a little bit of meat in it, the amount of acid that you are going to produce for a little bit of meat is going to be inadequate, and you are going to dilute this acid with the vegetable. So you are not achieving the proper acidity that is required to break down the protein, and yes, the worm can go through. So start eating correctly. And even if the worm goes through, it requires a wrong diet. Because if you eat correctly, you digest stuff completely, you absorb it in, very little bit is left to go out. There's not enough food for worms. Worms thrive in the bodies that are fed incorrectly. So, this is your answer. There is nothing to be afraid of if you eat correctly. Just look at omnivores or carnivores in nature. Look at the wolf. They can chew on an old carcass and they don't get sick. Bear will do the same. After they make a kill, if the animal is bigger, they eat what they can and then they cover it. And then they can come later, several days. The carcass already stinks, they still eat it. Because all the bacteria and worms that starts growing there, everything gets digested. No problem. We are just being misled by our experts. We should all pack them, can them up, and send them somewhere. They don't know, they have no clue. Because nobody is thinking. Everybody is just repeating like a parrot what they are being told. From professors to those people on internet that have their special programs, YouTube programs about health, talking about this supplementing and eating correctly and veggies and veggies and veggies. Have no idea about how the body works. Unless you start learning the truth and accepting it. You know, it's one thing to hear it. Do it. Just do it. If you are vegan, vegetarian, well, try to eat meat and try to eat it correctly. And you will see you will never feel better than once when you do this. If vegetarian or vegan switches to meat diet, it takes them maximum 3 days, and they can then munch on pure meat. And the metabolism starts feeling great. The intestines, everything feels great. Now, if a carnivore switches now to vegetarian diet, they go with stomach aches, with gas, problems, pain, and it sticks to them for a while because they have to build up now completely new flora. They have to build up the mechanism to process what the body cannot. And this is why they need the special microflora. And now we are getting brainwashed that, well, this microflora is actually your second brain. I mean, this gives you your immunity, this gives you my ass. It gives you problems. It gives you inflammations in intestines. All the celiac, all this irritated bowel syndrome, all these diseases we had made up are based on the wrong diet and basically vegetable diet. And overcooked meat, because it cannot be digested. It's highly coagulated. Just learn the truth and try it. Don't just listen and go with your opinions. You want to know the truth, you gotta try it. The only way to truth is experience. You know nothing unless you have experienced it. So you want to talk about how meat is bad? Well, first try to eat meat, but don't eat it with vegetables. Just start eating meat the correct way. If you don't know how to, read my blogs, watch my videos. If you don't trust me, observe omnivores in nature and follow their example. This is how I started. There is nothing to be afraid of worms, even bacteria in the meat, if you will eat the meat correctly. Yeah, the only reason why I don't like to eat aged meat, aged spoiled meat that has a strong odor, because of the odor. I hate the smell of it. This is why I don't like fermented meat. I like to eat it fresh. But at least I eat it raw or almost raw, just slightly seared, lightly cooked. And this is the way the meat should be eaten. And I eat it without salads. I only have maybe once a week or less when I have the Caesar salad that my wife makes, then with shrimps, which I love, and also she puts in bacon as a spice. Bacon is fabulous spice. Very tasty. Sprinkle it, you fry deeply and just sprinkle it over your food. Wow. So, you know, there are ways how to eat very tasty meat, but eat it correctly. And there is no problem. You talk about you cannot get to a wild game, you will have to buy a farm-raised meat, animal meat. No problem. It's way cleaner than any vegetable ever was, because animals cleanse. And they don't live long enough to become sick. They live 1 year, 2 years. No time. How long does it take us to become sick with all this crap we are eating and smoking and drinking alcohol? And still, it takes us 15, 20 years before we show signs of disease. So how can that wrong diet be so detrimental to the animal's meat, to the animal's muscle, within 1 year or less? It cannot happen. Yes, it is not the best. It's always better to have a wild game. But it is also not this terrible toxic stuff as it is being presented. It's always way healthier than your veggie or your fruit. I hope that at least my explanation makes you think a little bit, but you want to know the truth, try it. You will see. Thank you for being here. Till next time. Love you all.